Namaste. In this episode, we'll talk about challenges of self-managed teams. The challenge is that some of the self-managed teams succeed and many fail. There is no consistency. The one which succeeds does not stay long. The reasons are economic recession. Though these teams are very competitive, but when a recession comes, they are soft targets and the management prefers to close these plants with less manpower and less overheads and have a low risk of closure. Examples are Volvo Udola and GM Numi plant. The next one is research. The academician and the industry have experience with many combinations and there are success and failures. Evolution started to happen in 1960. The self-managed team depends on many variables and the culture is a base and is very important. The next one is no standard methodology. There is no standard methodology for replication of this concept, and this can be done between teams of different groups and in different countries.
Self-managing organizations, the good, the bad and the ugly. I've been speaking and writing a lot about self-managing organizations, and because of that I've seen and spoken to a lot of self-managed organizations. And I feel these are the 4 key ingredients to make self-organization a success. The first one is that leadership has to believe in it. If they don't, it will always fail. The second thing is that you have to trust the people around you. You've got to trust their expertise, you've got to trust their experience, and you've got to believe that they have good intentions by default. It's very important that trust is given by default to everybody. It's not something you need to earn. The third important factor is that everything is open and transparent by default. There can't be any hidden information or hidden agendas or any politics. The final thing is that clarity is key. You've got to create clarity about everything.
The other challenges are resistance to change. There is a huge resistance from the middle management, fear of supervision, and some managerial position can start working as coach and have a very rewarding self-satisfaction and gain knowledge by implementing self-managed team concept.
Let's move on to the biggest mistakes and pitfalls. The thing I see happening most is that former managers stop leading. Managers are often the most experienced people in a team, and they often have a lot of leadership skills. If you want teams to manage themselves, you have to transfer that information and that knowledge onto the team. And that's where you as a former manager still have to help the team out.
The other point is training and rule book. There is a lack of training and have an approach to build high performance team in short period with a narrow mindset will not lead and will collapse when supervision eyes are off. So training is a very important thing which many of the researchers and many of the industries have acknowledged. Rule book is also one very important thing, and an example is Southwest Airlines where the rule books are well defined for the employees to connect with the customer focused organization. The other very important thing which I feel is monitoring. We do not have a structured monitoring mechanisms for self-managed teams. We also need to abolish assessment and audits of the team, as this is opposite to our trust building. This is also should be tracked and monitored on daily basis, as behavior in the team may have ups and downs expected, and we should prepare ourselves. The last one is founder. This concept does not sustain once the founder or initiator leaves the organization. These concepts get a backseat. There are few institutions like Navy SEALs, the Indian Army, where it's a part of rule book. It has a clear direction for implementation and sustenance.
Now let's move on to the biggest disadvantages, the bad of self-managing organizations. In traditional organizations, managers manage people. In a self-managed organization, that is gone. There are no longer people to manage other people. But a good manager also develops the team and the people working in a team. That part is also gone. The best way to cope with this is to make feedback and self-development part of your default, part of your culture. There's one organization that did this really well, and that is Netflix. They make sure that feedback is part of your work from the day you start working at Netflix, and it's a huge inspiration for us. The second thing you'll see is that you will try a lot of new stuff. And if you try new stuff you've never done before, you will make mistakes. You have to be okay with the fact that you're gonna make mistakes. And if you bring a how can I help attitude to the problem, you'll see that people learn a lot and put all their effort into fixing the issue. Another thing to take into account is that there will be a phase where making big decisions is tough for people. People have to learn that if they are accountable, they can make decisions. And people have to learn to trust each other in making those big decisions and separating the role people hold from the soul that people have. The final thing you have to realize is that you will spend more time on communication. In traditional organizations, the board or management teams communicate one level down. So it only has to be clear for the level beneath them. In organizations without managers, everybody that is involved and touched by a decision you make has to understand the situation and the solution you brought to the table.
Herb Kelleher, the founder and CEO, gave a policy to Southwest Airlines which is still followed and cannot be changed. So what we should do to face the challenges and work to mitigate the same?
We began, for better or for worse, to perfect management. We began to develop theories about it. And one such theorist by the name of Peter Drucker began to notice something. He began to notice something that was a bit of a paradigm shift. He saw that we were moving away from the mere production of goods and the provision of advanced services to the use and manipulation of information. He coined the phrase knowledge work. He said, the most valuable asset of a 21st century institution, whether business or non-business, will be its knowledge workers and their productivity. And so what we need is a new managerial contract. Because when you consider that when all of the value in an organization walks out of the door each evening, the old command and control mindset is not going to work anymore. The existing model doesn't make any sense. It does not make sense for creative agencies, it does not make sense for startups, and so it behooves managers of the next generation to develop a focus on management with a distinctly theory Y approach. In order to understand and appreciate theory Y, you first have to understand and appreciate theory X. Theory X assumes a lot of things. It assumes that employees are lazy, that they avoid work, and that they actually dislike work. It's kind of like when your parents assigned you tasks or chores when you were younger, do the lawn, do the dishes, and you'd rather be doing other things. Theory Y assumes the complete opposite. Theory Y assumes that employees are ambitious, that they're self-motivated, that they exercise self-control, and that they actually enjoy their physical and mental duties. That given the proper conditions, an employer operating within a Theory Y framework can actually help their employees achieve the most elusive part of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that little point at the top of the triangle, self-actualization. But that's all given the proper conditions. So what do those proper conditions look like?
Hamza Khan talks about the change from traditional way of working to a new style for the future. We now need to understand more about Y theories, how to build, monitor and sustain the same. In my research, I have considered all these challenges and I am trying to give a solution. Jai Hind.